I will never understand the pathetic, desperate desire for some women to tear down other women's beauty. You'd think that we'd be past this by now, but the call is still coming from inside the house. Hello, ladies, fed and non-binary friends. Welcome back. So I had the displeasure of reading one of the most disgusting, blatantly fatphobic, unfeminist, out of an incel Discord articles I've ever read. And I wanted to talk about it because I can't believe someone typed this out and was like, now that's good journalism! The subject of this article was actress Nicola Coughlan. You might recognize her from her work as Claire in Derry Girls, or most recently her role as Penelope Featherington in Bridgerton. I don't really know how you wouldn't know her. She's been everywhere recently, constantly doing press and interviews for the new season, of which she is the romantic lead, all while advocating for a free Palestine on said press tours.
You're wearing the ceasefire pin, of course,
yes,
though.
Absolutely.
Why is it important for you to wear this as you're promoting Bridgerton?
It's very important for me because I feel like I'm a very privileged person. I'm doing my dream job and getting to travel the world, but then I'm hyper aware of what's happening in Rafah at the moment. And my dad was in the Irish Army, which is a peacekeeping force. He was a member of the UN. So my family actually lived in Jerusalem in the late 70s, and he was part of UNTSO, the United Nations Truce Supervision Organization. So it was about brokering peace in the Middle East. So I feel very passionately about it. I'm Irish also, so it's sort of a different perspective, and I just feel like, yeah, if I have this global platform, which I do at the minute, I think if I can hopefully raise funds for aid organisations. I have a fundraiser on my Instagram right now for Medical Aid for Palestine, and yeah, if people would like to donate to that or share it, I think it would be a wonderful thing to do.
She's been all over my TikTok, and I'm actually not that mad about it because I adore her. And when she speaks, I feel entranced, like a sailor being lured by a siren because Jesus Christ, she's so fucking hot. In fact, a lot of people love her. She's incredibly talented. People that have met her have lovely things to say. People that have worked with her share the same sentiment. And she seems to be a pretty genuine person. So imagine my surprise when I saw that this dog shit article had been published by The Spectator, saying that not only is she not hot, but too fat to be a convincing romantic lead. And that brings us to our video today. Unfortunately, I had not been sent through a portal and taken back 50 years in time. This article was published in the year of our Lord 2024 by an organization run by vicious teenagers, no doubt. Oh, sorry? They were adults? Let's get into it. I'll read the article here so you won't have to give these troglodytes any more ad revenue from your clicks. Bridgerton is an American fantasy of ye olde England, right down to the absurd, if enjoyably playful, not quite colorblind casting, and its insinuation that Regency London was peopled with an equal number of BAME and white aristocrats. Even the casting of Queen Charlotte, played by half Guyanese Golda Rochevelle, is an allusion to the dubious speculation that the real Queen Charlotte had African heritage and was in fact a woman of color. The unspoken final frontier of oppression is also the most debilitating: not being hot. Bridgerton's beloved first season saw an explosively sexy performance from its male lead, an antisocial duke played by the gorgeous British Zimbabwean actor Regé Jean Page. Its second season saw the promiscuous heir to the Bridgerton title, played by the gay actor Jonathan Bailey, fall head over heels and marry the Indian gentlewoman Kate Sharma, played by Simone Ashley. So far, so diverse. All peoples shall come to the ball, but this season, Rhimes is pushing her commitment to the intersectional to new and more interesting places. To recap for those who haven't paid attention to feminist discourse for the past decade or so, intersectionality is all the ways you might be, quote, oppressed, commonly described as, quote, interlocking systems of oppression, or, in other quarters, as the, quote, oppression Olympics. The term was coined by American legal scholar Kimberly Crenshaw in 1989 to denote that black women suffer more than white women, and so on. It was a slow burn at first, but as Gen Z come of age, it became an essential hierarchy governing huge swaths of institutional and cultural policy. And as in the nature of these things, the more marginalized traits you possess, the more victimized you are historically, and therefore, the more power you deserve now, with Jews as the glaring exception. Ooh. Doesn't she sound fun? The only physical attribute that works against universal erotic capital in almost any context is fat. But into that thorny bramble marches this season of Bridgerton, with podgy Penelope Nicola Coughlan as the star, finally attracting the tender gaze of perfect 10 Colin Bridgerton, whom she has long loved and supported from a friendly yearning distance. Penelope's frame is not generally named in the Bridgerton's world, but her bookish sexual marginality and apparent destiny to be unloved by Colin forever is clearly its result. Her life on the plump periphery of the svelte and beautiful is also her fuel behind, spoiler alert, and then it has a spoiler for Bridgerton, which I'm not going to say because I value the sanctity of the first watch. Nicola Coughlan, one of the comic stars of Channel 4's smash hit Derry Girls, is a lovely person to watch. She has an expressive face, and I always enjoy her trundling about shrubberies and across richly furnished rooms towards the nearest quill, or looking morosely from the sidelines at grand balls. But reader, she is not hot, and there is no escaping it, as I was reminded recently when she graced Harper's Bazaar's cover in a fabulous outfit that still did not change her not hotness. Coughlan is an actress of great value, and might be adored, but she is simply not plausible as the friend who would catch the handsome rich aristocrat Colin Bridgerton's eye in that way. She is not shapely, which can work as sexy even in Hollywood. She's fat. There's nothing wrong with fat, it's hardly a moral shortcoming, but a zest for equality and diversity, and in this case, good acting, just isn't enough to make a fat girl who wins the prince remotely plausible. In the cruel visual semantics of the screen, poor plump Penelope may be set up to win her man, but will she win her audience? The jury, dear reader, is out. Now, first of all, calling Colin Bridgerton a perfect 10 while in the same breath saying that Nicola Coughlan is not hot is probably the craziest fucking part of this entire article. I haven't even watched the show in full. I've basically only seen clips on TikTok, and Colin Bridgerton is kind of an ass for the first few seasons, from what I understand. I doubt the Bridgerton fandom would agree that Colin Bridgerton would be considered a perfect 10, even in universe. I also hate the way Zoe keeps saying, dear reader, like it's so condescending. And it's honestly delusional to think that any major group would agree with her without question enough to justify this condescension. You know what I'm saying? She keeps saying that Nicola isn't hot enough, like it's so obvious. Like that's the obvious conclusion that people just aren't saying. Zoe takes every opportunity to say that Nicola Coughlan is fat in different ways. I kind of wonder if she realized how many times she said fat in this article and was just like, yeah, I guess I have to switch this up a little. And then just Googled fat synonyms and cycled through every single word 7 times. This journalist calls the same actress fat 7 times in this article, which is already kind of a lot, but it's even worse considering that the article is only 800 words. And if you cut out the introduction and only look at the parts where Zoe is talking about Nicola, it's only like 300 words. It's like 2.5 paragraphs. So in 2.5 paragraphs, she calls Nicola fat 7 times, and that's the main focus of the article. What the fuck world are we living in where this is a legitimate publication and like this is what's being put out? Like I feel like I'm in 2002. I won't go back to low-rise jeans. I won't do it. They don't look good on anyone. Though it seems like our dear Zoe has a history of being a bit of a piece of shit. And people were very quick to point out Zoe's own body type and how this entire article seems like a very public practice in projection. Because wouldn't it be a good thing for the world to universally see a character with a body type like Nicola as attractive? Especially for someone like you, Zoe, with a similarly curvy figure? Unless it's all just projection, which a lot of people have picked up on. I've never understood this mentality of anyone that's, quote, heavier than me, darker than me, gayer than me is like not acceptable even when you're a part of that group. Only I'm the acceptable limit of that group. The desire to put yourself above another even though you're both in a marginalized group, like, I don't fucking get it. Because if all of those people that are heavier than you, darker than you, etc. are gone, eradicated, cast out, etc., who the fuck do you think they're coming for next? It's not going to be the skinny girls. It's gonna be you, Zoe. This is what I think her internal monologue was when writing this dog shit article. I'm not skinny, but I'm skinnier than her. People love Nicola and say she's attractive, but they're not saying that to me. So they must be wrong because everything I've been taught to believe is that skinny equals pretty. And by disrupting that norm, I would have to examine what's wrong with me and why I'm not universally desired or on magazine covers, even though I'm skinnier than her. And at the end of the day, it's just really sad and pathetic. I don't even think this is pick-me energy. I genuinely think it's just internalized misogyny. Because, like, no one is picking her for putting out this dog shit take. Because the majority of people that watch Bridgerton are not straight men. It's the girls, gays, and theys. So, like, who are you trying to impress? I think she's just like this, which is even more embarrassing. The whole thing just seemed so out of pocket, so I decided to do a little bit more research. Where on earth did all of this vitriol come from? Nicola is hardly the first person in a romance to be plus-sized. So, like, what's the fucking deal? Well, surprise, surprise, Zoe Stump, or whatever the fuck her name is also a fucking Zionist. And Nicola, well, Nicola supports a free Palestine. For anyone who has been living under a rock, there's been a genocide going on recently. A genocide that the United States is funding. Israel is doing everything they can to, quote, finish the job by bombing the remaining Palestinians into oblivion. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can go to this video in the upper right corner. It will also be linked in the description. Nicola Coughlan has been outspoken about her support of Palestine, calling for a ceasefire. She's using her platform for immense good and talking about Palestine in places where it's not normally being discussed. And we fucking love that. She's done so with eloquence and with grace. Zoe, on the other hand, ew. Zoe's Twitter is an excellent showcase of these views and values that she is proudly touting. So yeah, as much as people would love to not make this political, it is highly possible that this out-of-pocket article meant to embarrass Nicola was also due to the genocide happening in Gaza and Zoe's Zionism and blind support of Israel. Isn't that fucking wild? Needless to say, this article is very mean-spirited and was not well received, especially considering the majority of the Bridgerton fan base is women who typically don't like hit pieces body shaming their favorite actresses because women have enough to fucking deal with. So yeah, this article already has other articles responding to it, calling Zoe out for her childish, hateful, pathetic behavior in a journalistic and eloquent way. But if you're looking for more robust responses, just check any comment section talking about this on TikTok, Twitter, and Reddit. Can you believe it? Even Twitter and Reddit got it right? The internet has truly united to dunk on this absolute clown of a woman and be in support of Nicola. Yeah, definitely not at all hot in this picture. I can just imagine her at the bar or club being totally ignored by all the straight guys, gay girls, bi folk. We all hate gorgeous skin, blonde hair, big boobs, and pretty faces. Oh wait. Not sharing the link because this utter garbage doesn't deserve more clicks, but Zoe Strimple and The Spectator, this is some of the most misogynistic, hateful, fatphobic drivel I've ever read. The author of that piece is a Zionist, and Nicola has been pro-Palestine and been showing support, so it's no surprise that the former decided to do a hit piece. It's an attack by a Zionist woman who doesn't like Nicola for using her platform to call out genocide. My jaw actually just hit the floor. What a sad, sad author. Jesus, this is disgusting. This is one of those inside thoughts. Bring back shame. She calls herself a feminist? I think not. Wow, self-hating women are a hell of a thing. As a bisexual woman, I am sincerely attracted to Nicola. She is exactly my type. Flawless skin, bangin' body, and a great personality. I think she can bag any person with eyes in their head. I think it's also something like when you blame your weight for why you're miserable, alone, whatever. Seeing a romance where a heavier person gets the boy and will probably live happily ever after, you might have to reflect that your weight isn't the reason for those things. I think it's just projection. Zoe is a larger woman who sometimes writes about dating. She doesn't see herself as beautiful or deserving of a good-looking rich man, and she doesn't think any other women who aren't thin should either. Ew, in what world would a fatty fat get a happy ending with a good-looking guy? Well, mine for a start, Strimple. This article is so disappointing. No one can tear women down more than other women. Especially worst is those who call themselves feminists only to criticize other women. Not shapely? Is she blind? Not hot? I would bite my hand off to be as beautiful as Nicola is. To sum up her points, it's essentially, quote, well done, Bridgerton, in your quest for equality and diversity, but a fat girl falling in love with someone deemed more attractive? Now that's too far. However, shall we believe it? Well, that was the most disgusting article I've ever read. Tender gaze of a perfect 10, Colin Bridgerton. Are we seeing the same Colin in the same series? She's literally drop-dead gorgeous. Like, this is insane. Meanwhile, my husband went, wow, she's gorgeous, the moment she came on screen when I showed him the carriage scene. I legitimately started crying reading this. Why would someone write this? Who approved this? As a young person who struggles with their weight, reading this crushed me, especially knowing it came from another woman. And the fact that the article was okayed by the higher-ups is insane. I know celebrity worship is dying, as it should, but representation will always be important. I guarantee you the top comment on this video is going to be from like some sad, lonely white man being like, what? Can't we have preferences? And it's like, yeah, okay, have your preferences, but this article was fucking mean. Like, this was some shit you'd find in like a Mean Girls group chat at school. These are the same clowns that will yap about, like, free speech. Like, they have a right to say whatever they want. And, like, okay, then I have the freedom to say whatever the fuck I want. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequences. And I'm not only going to tell you that you're wrong, but also that you're a fucking clown. And this next message is just for Zoe, because I feel like she needs to hear this. It's clear that this entire piece was filled with such vitriol because you're a Zionist, but also because you clearly have some self-hating habits and internalized misogyny that you need to work through. As a mid/plus-sized woman yourself, you may have thought the reason no one wanted to date you is because your weight, and seeing a beautiful, successful, plus-sized woman like Nicola being fawned over by pretty much everyone might make you a little bit angry. It might make you feel like you've been slighted or lied to. Because if your weight isn't the problem, maybe it's something wrong with you, and that's a much harder pill to swallow. Have the day you deserve. For anyone looking to donate to Rowan's GoFundMe, I have her page linked in the description. If you can't donate, that's totally fine, but make sure to like and leave a comment. Oh yeah, I'm gonna farm your engagement. There's gotta be someone on this godforsaken site